Right, I'm joined today by Lee Graham, owner, organiser of Just Push Play Festival. I guess you call yourself that. Welcome, Lee.
Cheers, Will. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, man. Obviously, we're all in the same wonderful situation at the moment of lockdown.
Yes.
And I know it's your wedding anniversary yesterday, so I suppose at least you were together.
Yeah, at least we were together, yeah. Unfortunately, that meant that Joe had to put up with my cooking as we couldn't go out in a restaurant, but she's still alive, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, we've got another year to go now. Right, yeah, Just Push Play Festival. So, for people that don't actually know anything about this particular festival, can you give us a little oversight, a little insight into the history behind it all from yourself?
Yeah, cool. So, I set up Just Push Play Festival in memory of my dad. I lost my dad to cancer in 2010. In 2015, I put the very first one on. Actually, the first few years, I was dealing with my own grief and bereavement, and then at sort of the 5-year mark hit, and I thought, I've not done anything for the hospice. I looked after him. It was a very short battle with cancer. My dad, it was 13 days from diagnosis to him sadly passing away. So it was a bit of a freight train, and it took me a long time to deal with it. So by the time the 5th anniversary came around, I suddenly thought, oh, I've not done anything that I said I was going to do for the hospice. And me and friends, we were throwing ideas in the pub round one night what we could do for St Nicholas Hospice, and should we do a sponsored swim, should we do a sponsored marathon, should we do sponsored this, sponsored that? And then someone sort of half taking the mick went, oi Lee, you should put on Live 8. And after I told him to go forth and multiply, I
Thought about it.
yeah, I suddenly thought about it and thought, a gig is a bloody good idea. And it made sense. At the time I was playing in bands, Dad and I had a great relationship. And live gigs and music was a huge part of that. He took me to see Aerosmith when I was 11 years old, first gig I ever went to, and we never stopped going to gigs together after that, So a gig in his memory made huge sense. And from that throwaway comment, the friends I was sat with, they all played in various local bands, and they all went, would we play? No. Oh, would you? Well, yeah, of course you would. We would. If it was for your dad in the hospice, of course we'd play. So a throwaway comment got about 4 bands on the lineup. And I thought, okay. And then I contacted at the time a little social club, and that's what it was to start off with. It was local bands in a social club, and it was only supposed to be one-off for the 5th anniversary. But I thought we'd maybe get 30, 40 people down and raise a few £100 for the hospice, and that would be that. But we actually had about 145 people through the door for the first one, and in total, including all the pots and ticket money and raffles that we raised, we raised over 1,300 quid for the hospice on the first one. And suddenly you're like, this isn't a bad idea. This is working. And I still was sort of a bit, maybe I'll just keep it to one. But when the January came around the following year, which is roughly when I started announcing it the previous year, people's Facebook memories were coming up and all that kind of thing. And I kept getting asked, are you going to do another one? So I thought, well, the money never goes in my pockets for the hospice. So while people are asking, I'll do another one. And that year we raised £1,500. And I was just like, right, I've got to keep doing this. And each year it's got bigger and bigger. In 2018, we moved from the social club that it had been the first 3 years over to the Apex, which is where it's been ever since. So we've gone from a social club to the Apex, which is, as you know, a proper music theatre. It's 800 capacity max, and so it was a big leap for us, and it was a big leap of faith. But fortunately, we had, they were then called the Bad Flowers, obviously now Wolfjaw. They headlined that first one at the Apex, and they were a huge draw. And then after that, it started getting some serious attention. And then obviously last year we had Massive Wagons, the Amorettes, and Hollister, and Dead Man's Whiskey, and False Hearts, and Fallen Mafia and Broken Soul opening up. So yeah, so that's a sort of brief overview, if you like.
I mean, from the start, you had the support of people around you, which is a major help.
Definitely.
That must be fantastic. More to the point, how did you get other people involved, business-wise, sponsorship-wise? Obviously, band-wise, you had that in already. You're in that sort of field.
Yeah.
You've got contacts, etc., and you know sort of management, PR people, and all the rest of it. But how? I mean, to go from, like you say, a local socials club, 150, 200 people, to the Apex in Bury St Edmunds, and I've been there last year, and it was huge. You know,
Yeah.
how does that happen? I mean, you must get the right people on board to make that happen.
I wish I honestly knew how it happened, to be honest with you. Like you say, to go from the social club where it was like 150 max people to the Apex, which is 800 plus, and do that in 4 years, really, because we've been at the Apex for 3 years now. And to do that, I don't know how it happened. I think because of the reasons behind the festival, and with it being for the hospice, and cancer, sadly, is something that touches most families. So when people see anything to do with it, they think, oh, well, we'll go to that because, like in my case, it was my dad, but with other people, it's their uncle, their auntie, their sister, their mother, their friend, their whoever. It has touched them in some way, and I think I certainly can do it without everybody's backing. But when people were getting behind it, they were spreading the word out far farther and wider than I could have done on my own. And thanks to everyone's support, that cast that net out very wide, and managed to grab quite a lot of attention. And
it must be amazing, though, to have that support as well. It must make you feel almost warm and fuzzy inside, like you say, almost unbelievable.
Oh, mate,
a lot of the time.
I couldn't do it without the people who've helped me along the way. That's for sure. You know, like people always say to me, "Oh, Lee, you do so well," and I always say, and I mean this, I'm not just talking rubbish. It's my idea. I do some of the work, but without everyone, it's nothing. No one's going to pay 20 quid to see me stood on the Apex doing. So I just stood there going, all right. You know, no one pays that.
No, you never know.
Yeah, never know.
Maybe £15. Yeah,
maybe 15. Drop a fiver because there's no bands here. But you know, and then it's just started thinking. I started digging deeper on the band front, and when we had Wolfjaw, obviously, like I say, then the Bad Flowers coming, that got a lot of attention because they had just at the time released their Starting Gun album, and they were getting a lot of attention and obviously doing really well on the rising scene. And somebody was like, oh well, I think that definitely gave like the change in venue. And having a band like Wolfjaw headline, it did people go, oh, this is growing now. And very
had hair then, didn't he?
Just about. It wasn't long before I chopped it off. It was on its way out.
But no, like you say, the scene at the moment, I don't want to call it, but the new scene, the rock music scene at the moment, across up and down the country is so strong. It has been for the last few years.
Oh mate, the last few years have been so exciting.
And there's so many good bands as well. It's unbelievable. You know, it's hard to sort of say this one particular band's better than this one particular band. A few of them have had more success.
Yeah, of course.
You know, which is fair enough because they deserve what they get. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
But I know this year, and because of the coronavirus and all the rest of the shit, all the festivals have been cancelled, including your own. And I know you looked as late as possible to see if there was anything to be done.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
You know, circumstances mean there isn't. But your lineup this year is spectacular.
Oh, thanks, man.
But I also know that you've now produced another option for the day that the festival was due to be run anyway. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So I'm in the same position that everyone else is in, is organising gigs and festivals and events and stuff. And I really did leave it to the last second if I could, because first of all, when the whole country went in lockdown in March, I was thinking, you know, I don't think anyone could have predicted how long we would have been in this situation.
No.
And because this year is 10 years for my dad since he passed away, and 5 years since the very first Just Push Play, I was even more determined. You know, this is going ahead. I've got to commemorate my dad in style. And like you say, we had such a good lineup, but I didn't want to let that go because I was so excited because it's just incredible the bands we managed to get. So, but then 1 month passes and you're thinking, oh, I'm still okay. And then a couple of months pass and you're thinking, this isn't looking good. And I woke up one morning and I'd done the thing of thinking, no, I was convinced, no, we're going ahead. And then I woke up one morning and I just thought, you're fooling yourself here, mate. Like, and I didn't want to get to the point. I wanted to be in control of it as much as I could, basically. I didn't want to get to the point of now waiting until, say, where we are now, which is like 2 weeks from, you know, Wednesday date should be, and then gone, sorry, everyone, it's going to have to go. I wanted to do something, even if that wasn't obviously what we all wanted in a physical live show. So I'd seen, you know, a few festivals start doing like tellies, like online shows and that kind of thing. And I thought, well, maybe we can do something like that for the date. So it is going to be so I managed to contact all the bands that are involved, and I've got to say, all the bands and their teams were so instrumental in moving the show to 2021. They were all...
You've retained the full lineup from this year.
Retained the full lineup.
That's fantastic.
Which, when it came off, I was thinking, how many... Because you just think naturally with bands, no one knows where they're going to be 12 months down the line, especially with what's going on. You do think, right, am I going to manage to secure everyone again? But everybody was fully behind me. And really, all the bands and all their management and their teams, they really did work beyond the call of duty, quite frankly, to all line up, which is incredible. And I've got to thank them for that. And not only that, but when I mentioned the Just Push Play Online thing, because that's what we're going to do on the day it should have been, on the 1st. So that we've got, all the bands that are named. It's various footage. Some of it's a couple of videos of like acoustic sets they've done in lockdown. Jack J. Hutchinson's filmed an exclusive acoustic set for me. Bad Touch, they are releasing unseen footage of their set at Rambling Man Fair in the VIP bar. So unless you were in the bar that day, you basically didn't see it. Loads of bands, they've all donated some fantastic footage, and so it's a free event. It's my thank you to everyone for sticking with me for Just Push Play, because so many, compared to how many tickets we sold, the amount of refunds I had to do was zilch. It was nothing worth crying about.
So everyone's great support.
Support from, I've got to be honest, I was sat there that morning when I was going to have to push the button on making the announcement that I was having to postpone it, and Joe will tell you that morning I wasn't right. I was pacing up around. She's like, "Will you just calm down?" And I was I was clock watching. I did not want them. I knew I had to do it, and it was the right thing to do. I didn't want to do it for a couple of reasons. Obviously, like my dad's anniversary, and also I didn't know how people were going to react. But within 15, 20 minutes of pushing that button, everybody was so supportive. All the comments and messages and emails that I got was just so supportive, so welcoming. And so that sort of definitely helped me calm my nerves a bit. But yeah, so we've got the Just Push Play Online. So we've got bands for that. It's my freebie. It's my thank you to everyone. But we are accepting online donations for the hospice for anyone who wants to. There's no pressure for it, but obviously I want to raise as much as I can for that fantastic cause. So we've got that to try and help that.
And that's August the 1st at 8 PM, is that correct?
Yes, from 8 PM onwards.
Right, and people can find this on the Just Push Play Facebook
page. Yeah, that'll be a live stream on the Just Push Play Facebook page, and I'm just today set up a YouTube channel so I can launch it on there as well. So I'll live stream on both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And watch it on the TV, which is a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. I thought that the other night when I was watching Rambling Man Fair. I thought I'd better do that.
But no, I mean, we're talking of Rambling Man Fair. That should have been this weekend, as we know.
Yeah.
Again, that's another festival, one of my favourites. It's weird, it's strange that it's not going ahead, but obviously everything is understandable. The Friends of Cadillac 3 have cancelled yesterday or the day before the rest of this year. They're not even any chances now, so they've literally just cancelled the rest of this year, wrote it off, just started them next year. I can understand with the bigger festivals like Rambling Man Fair, where you've got lots of people coming from abroad. You never know what the travel situation, what the when you get over here. So there's no point. There's no point in kidding ourselves. And I think you've done the right. I think everyone's done the right thing. And I think I'm even pessimistic about the people that have rescheduled gigs for later in the year. I would love to see it happen. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, we all would. But it's that thing, like you say, it's like, why risk it at this point? I mean, there's people I know who naturally want their shows to happen, and I don't blame them for that one bit. But personally, for me, like I said, I don't want to be having to do anything at the last minute and then really, you end up being in the water with it. And also, personally, for me, with the whole ethos behind Just Push Play and it being for the hospice, I couldn't have anyone's health at risk through something I was doing. You know what I mean? It's just. And like you say, there's a lot of bands at the minute, like Cadillac and a few others I've noticed, they've just scrapped the year. I've got some things booked October. I'm supposed to be going out to see Phil Campbell and Bastard Sons in Belfast. We booked that up at the beginning of the year. Naturally, I still hope it happens, but who knows? No one knows what the situation will be.
I mean, away from the obviously the Just Push Play Festival and all that stuff, you've got your radio show.
Yep.
Where you promote and champion lots of new music on that as well. We talked a little bit earlier about how strong the scene is these days.
Oh, God, yeah.
So does that give you a platform to sort of new bands that you find that you can just push to everybody and just say, right, check these guys out?
Yeah, I mean, when the radio show came about actually through Just Push Play. It's a local radio station that I'm on, RWSFM. It's local to Bury, but people can listen online and the tune-in app and smart speakers and all that kind of thing. And I went there to promote Just Push Play, basically. It was the first year that we moved to the Apex. And I was just chatting about that. And they said to me, look, you're obviously passionate about your music, and we're looking to have a rock show on here. We have some got them in. Would you be interested in me being me? We'll play music that I like for a couple of hours. Yeah, definitely up for that. And I didn't think anything of it. And then I emailed them just after Just Push Play 2018 had happened, just to say, thanks for all your support, because they were really good in promoting it locally. And so thanks for all that. This is what we raised for the hospice. Thank you very much. And then they emailed me back and saying, you still up for being a presenter? So, yeah, I mean, I said to them when I went in, I wanted to champion new bands, because as much as I like Bon Jovi and Guns N' Roses, I didn't want to go on and just play Sweet Child of Mine and Living on a Prayer every day.
And they don't need the help quite as much.
Yeah, exactly. So I said to him, look, I'm going to do a rock show, but I'm doing it my way, and I'm going to, champion these news bands, because I was so excited at the time. I mean, getting back into Just Push Play has been a platform for me to delve deeper into this scene, which has been great. And at the time I still am absolutely loving all the new bands that we're getting through the ranks, and that's why, so it's been really good in that respect. I've managed to do quite a lot of album launch shows with people. I did album launch shows with Gorilla Riot and Jack J. Hutchinson and Dax and Roxanne and a few others, and it's just been really, really good. It's been just good fun, just play music.
Is it a release for you as well to almost, because you said you had this big strong bond with your father, music-wise, to go to gigs together, you introduce you to these bands.
Oh yeah.
So to play new music, is it almost like a homage to him? Sort of, the music's still great these days, Dad. Listen to this, listen to that. Is it almost like you can share it?
I guess so,
because
because
that's so really stupid, but
no,
in that way.
No, because I've said privately to friends and to Joe, my wife, and family, that it sounds daft because it's my dad, and there's so much more I should miss from him, and I miss a lot. I don't. There's not a day goes past that he's not in my thoughts. But one of the things I really miss is finding a new band, because I always said my dad brought me up on old school rock and old school metal, but at the time it wasn't. I was 7 years old listening to Rage Against the Machine and Stone Temple Pilots.
You were discovering it through him.
Yeah, through him. I remember as a kid, obviously I wasn't allowed to stay up and listen to the John Peel show, but he would tape it for me, and I'd have it the next day, and I'd listen to my little stereo that I had in my room. And one of the things I missed the most was coming in with a band that I just discovered and being like, Dad, you need to listen to this. And vice versa, he'd be calling, while I was up at uni, he'd call me up and go, mate, have you heard these guys? And I really missed that. So yeah, I guess in a way it is that little homage and sort of telling people, you need to listen to this. I'm pleased to say it to him.
So what do you think he would have thought of today's bands? I mean, I'm just looking at the lineup you've got for this year, well, obviously for next year now. Some amazing bands. Those Damn Crows headlining, they're getting bigger and bigger and better every single gig they play. I mean,
Definitely.
Bad Touch, obviously local to you guys.
Yeah, I love those boys.
Bands, again, they've taken that next step, that next level.
Yeah, the new album, Kiss the Sky, is absolutely fantastic.
Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Fantastic album.
Bands that are up and coming that are really, really pushing fast, and that's Gorilla Riot from Manchester.
Yeah.
Rocket Dolls, I think they're from Brighton area.
Yeah, Brighton area, Nicky was.
Both of these bands have had new albums out this year.
Yeah, the scene's so fantastic, like we say, with albums, mate.
Samar Kind, who are from Belfast.
Yeah.
Near Belfast.
Yeah.
Noel Dells, Leicester Boys, absolutely amazing.
Oh, mate,
guys.
love them.
Obviously Jack J. Hutchinson.
The thing is, though, I didn't realise I'd actually seen, because I thought that Noel Deltas, the first time I saw him, was at Crazy Cowboy. I thought that was the first. And it was at Rambling Man. I remember me and Joe walking in, and they were on the Rising stage, and at the time it was right by the gate as you came in.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who they were. I just heard this band play, and as you do, go, that's good, and stood there having a listen, and I watched them, they're great. And then I was watching them at Crazy Cowboy, and I thought, oh, these guys are great. I'm really enjoying these. And I'm thinking, I recognised the songs that were playing, but I couldn't marry it up where I heard it before. And then I was chatting to Tom, and having a chat with him, and it came up in conversation. I was like, that's where I know your songs.
Because they opened up the Rising stage, didn't they, I think?
Yeah, well, they must have done. They must have been on early anyway, because they were on as we were sort of walking through the gate.
But, I mean, like I say, so the actual quality of bands that you've got, and to keep them for next year is amazing, and that's really, really strong. So what do you think your father would have thought of some of these bands? Because if he's a rock lover, then there's a lot of, there's some good shit in there.
Oh yeah, he'd have been down the front, that's for sure. Like, that's my dad. Like, people always used to say, well, you go to gigs with your dad. Is he what are you on about? I'm not taking him, he's taking me. Like, he's the one who's booked tickets. Like, my dad wasn't one to stand at the back either. I'm like my dad. If you'll know if I'm not enjoying a band because I'll be stood at the bar having a beer.
Yeah, rather than stood on the
rather than being in the thick of it. And my dad was exactly the same. He loves a lot of different stuff. I mean, I don't think many people could say that dad introduced him to the Prodigy, but he loves a lot of. If it was good music, it was good music, and it was as simple as that. And there's been even my mum, who comes to Just Push Play every year, bless her, but it's not her cup of tea music-wise. She's never been into her rock. But having said that, I was really surprised last year. I was stood side of stage, and Hollistar were playing. Hollistar Boys, they're all playing, and I was sort of watching them for a bit. And my mum, I always reserved like a box, like the seats that's near the stage for my mum and my sister, and Joe's family, whoever wants to come out of my lot. And I looked up, and I'm going, Mum's enjoying this. And like my mum doesn't like rock. She's not a rock fan. She doesn't like. And then I'm going, she's enjoying these. And then afterwards, I didn't get around to seeing her because I was sort of running around doing my thing and running around like a loony trying to sort everything out. And as she was and I sort of caught up with her about an hour before the end, just before Master Wagons came on, and I went up to the box to see if she was all right and how she was doing it. And I turned her and she went, oh, I've just gone and bought Hollistar's album. And I went, what? Like, years me and Dad tried to get her into bloody music and it never worked.
So was it the crowd surfing when you noticed it was your mum?
Yeah.
doing tie out about Vintage Trouble. Going right there.
Yeah.
No, like I said, last year's event, obviously, that was my...
that was the best one, yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. The atmosphere from the crowd, from the bands.
Oh, everyone was buzzing, huh?
Oh, it was superb. It was a hot day as well, wasn't it?
It was boiling hot that day, yeah.
But no, the amazing atmosphere, and like I say, I was so looking forward to this year, like everybody. And
oh God, yeah.
No more than yourself, but we've got next year to look forward to, which is the main thing. Like you say, you've retained all the bands, so it can't be better than that.
No.
What's the date next year?
July 31st next year.
Oh right, so yeah, of course we've moved on one day, so it's still the Saturday.
Yeah, it's still that weekend, but it's just a Saturday.
So. Not only with Just Push Play though, but you're also heavily involved in things like Stone Deaf or Stone Dead, whatever it is.
Stone Dead, yeah.
Again, obviously one of the festivals that have been cancelled. It's normally near your one as well, isn't it? It's normally a couple of weeks difference. Yeah,
normally a couple of weeks apart. The last year, I think it was 2 weeks apart. And one year I did it 1 week. No, it was the following weekend. Stone Dead was before, and then I had. It was only because of the way the bank holiday fell last year. You had that extra weekend, and Stone Dead's always because Stone Dead's always the bank holiday weekend in August.
That was hot.
That was boiling. Because I was working backstage and sort of organising all that. We had the main hospitality thing was outside, and my colleagues up there were dealing with that and doing a superb job. And we had like a few beers and stuff for when people were about there, but every band was just asking for water, except Massive.
They seem to enjoy themselves pretty much.
Oh yeah, the good boys there.
What a day though! I mean, again, for a one-day festival, that has to be one of my favourite outdoor one-day festivals.
Oh mate, I'm so proud to be involved in that. And again, that came through. My involvement with that came through Just Push Play. It was when I was moving it or attempting it, because when I wanted to move it from the social club to the Apex, I set up a little crowdfund with them. Just to see if the interest was there enough for it to work. I had to do some sort of, dipping my toe in the water, so to speak. And Stone Deaf at the time was just on its way. Obviously, 2018 was their first year. in existence, and I messaged the team just saying, look, because I was thinking, wow, they're doing this big festival outdoor thing, and they've done their crowdfunding thing to help, set up the initial thing. And I thought, well, if they can do that for them, I can do that at the Apex, which is obviously a much smaller venue. So I messaged them saying, any pointers, is anybody willing to help me out with some ideas or anything like that? And I got a message back saying, can you email Mr. who's now my mate, Chris Sunby? He's one of the festival directors, and he's done similar events to yourself and all that kind of thing. So I messaged Chris and just having a chat with him and all that kind of thing. And he was really helpful. He's been the whole team have been really supportive over the years. They've been great. And obviously, Massive Wagons played the first Stone Dead, and then I had them headline last year, and there's been that sort of interlinking. Networking thing from my point of view, it's not just because they've got played Stone Dead, they've got to play Just Push Play or anything like that. There's none of that. It's just been so helpful in my growth.
But there's an unwritten rule in their contract, though.
Oh yeah. Just don't tell me. But no, Chris
must be great to have that input from the big.
Oh God, yeah. Chris is one of the first people I bounce ideas off. He's really, really clever man when it comes to all that, and get on. The whole team's fantastic. I wouldn't say a bad word against any of them, but yeah, Chris helped me out on that, and then they were looking for someone to help out with their media side of things, the website. Website obviously not press, because our press entrepreneur and extraordinaire Jenny, she looks after all our press side. She's incredible. And but the website and all that kind of thing, they wanted someone to do that, and I saw it advertised, and I said, well, I've got my degree in computing. If you want me to help out, I will. So I ended up getting involved that way. And then it's a couple of weeks before Just Push Play, and before the first one, a couple of months maybe. And I've been saying, obviously I'm doing the website, but if you need any help on the day, let us know, and I'm coming anyway, so I'll be there. And Chris said to me, you're used to doing this with Just Push Play and making sure the bands are all happy and on stage and all the rest of it. Do you fancy doing it for Stone Dead? And I thought, wow, that's a step up. But I'll be honest, that was a good learning curve. Just have a bit more professionalism about it as well for what I was doing with Just Push Play.
I would imagine the setup obviously is very different, being an outdoor festival, different layout, stuff like that, but the whole principle is still the same. You've got to be able to communicate, you've got to be able to organise, and you've got to be, like I say, very professional. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes, and the more you can improve on it. And like you say, take it away from your Just Push Play.
Oh, definitely. I've learned a lot from those guys, yeah.
So it's all calm, and it's all things around that as well. You've got everything sort of working for each other, or everybody working for each other, and it seems to create a really fantastic event, whether it's Stone Dead, whether it's Just Push Play, or any of the other ones. Praise Cowboy Festivals, prime example. So many bands, no overlaps in the little rooms, and it works.
Oh God, it works fantastically for Crazy.
But because of the professional approach that people have, even though everyone's having a laugh and a joke and drink, whatever, it works because everybody's doing their job.
Yeah, this is it.
But whether it's behind the scenes or in front of the camera, it doesn't really matter. It still creates.
No, everyone's we're part of it, aren't they? Whether you're, like you say, out front or backstage helping out, without that, wouldn't do anything. I mean, like without people like Gary, Gary and Helen, Gary last year, he just took it upon himself, bless him, and he was helping bands with changeovers, helping with gear changes, all that kind of thing. And it was all stuff that I needed to happen. But I was running around trying to get people to help it, and by the time I turned around, Gary had got it sorted for me. And without people like Gary and Helen helping out, my mate Spenk, who helps me out all year, he does all the posters and all the media things for that. And Jeremy helps me out in the day, and poor Joe running around trying to find me to give me messages all day. Without people like that, I just wouldn't happen.
But it's also, you need that trust as well. It's not just somebody who can say, because you do, and you still get it to this day, you get people that want to freeload and jump on the band, sort of say, I want to be close, I want to be backstage, because that's I want to be with the bands, and which is great. And but people you trust don't do it for that; they do it for music.
Oh yeah, you need people you trust.
You know who they are as well.
Oh, you can spot them off.
Very, very.
When someone's just going to try, and I think I don't want to like spoil the rock and roll illusion for anyone or anything, But
more Ovaltine and biscuits, mate.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, you get people going, "Oh, it must be wild." Blah, blah, blah. There was a mate of mine, and I love him to bits, and I'm not going to mention his name because it's unfair. But last year he was like, "I want to come back and stuff," and as much as I love him, he won't come back. I mean, one, like contractually anyway, obviously with like band contracts and stuff, I basically have to say I'm having limited staff here for obvious security reasons and everything else. And all the band's dressing rooms have got a lock on them anyway, so. You know, unless they stood in the corridor in the communal catering bit, and or they want to be seen and want to invite you in, obviously they're, you know. But I think a lot of people think it's Motley Crue in 1984, and realistically, you know, you go backstage to say hello and make sure everyone's going okay when I'm there, and more often than not, they're on their phone or having a cup of tea.
Unless you come to Crazy Cowboy and we have this weird and wonderful parade of drinks.
Oh yes.
It can get messy.
Yes, and then
in a good way though. In a good way.
Yeah, there was no Unicum at Just Push Play, unfortunately. So.
There would have been this year, I hope.
Yeah.
We had to change it. Yeah. I think I was going to do some interviews this year, wasn't I, as well?
Yeah.
We were there. And I think there was a few bits and pieces that were sorted out for that. But yeah, we're saving for next year. I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
It'll mature.
I don't think it'll go off, will it?
Yeah. No, not at all. Probably take a bit of paint off if you tried it, but no. So going back to new music, though, I mean, where you're based, you've got some great bands around you. Like I say, you're close to like Bad Touch, Hollister, False Hearts, all these sort of bands. Are there any new up and coming bands around by you that you sort of suggest people check out that maybe they haven't found or yet?
I mean, I guess the first one locally that comes to mind would be Broken Soul. We had them open up for Just Push Play last year, and they were a bit of a last-minute addition. Again, coming through the radio show, they sent me a demo and said, we've released our album, would you be up for playing some songs? And on the radio show, you know, I'm always up for playing local bands. It's what it's for. You know, being a local radio show, and I played them, and I was going, oh, this is really good. And I was really enjoying them. And then they asked me, they were doing an album launch show at a local hall, and asked if I fancied to come down and DJ in between the bands and things like that. So I went down to do that, and I stood there watching them when they came on, and I'm going, I really like these. And although obviously it was I think it was their first gig, and it was a little raw because it's their first gig, but there was something there. And I was stood there, and Jo knows what I'm like. Jo, she's my wife, she can read me like a book. But like the same was like when we were at the Cambridge Rock Festival, and we were watching Hollister there. Jo looked at me within 30 seconds and went, you want them for Just Push Play, don't you? And I'm like, yep. It was the same when we watched False Hearts the following day. You know, I was stood there going, And Joe's like, have you just found another band? Yeah. And technically when Broken Soul got added, the lineup was complete. But I saw them and I was like, they're local. It'd be good to have a local band open it up. And they were really good, and I had such a good time. And Jo, when she went, you don't have any time. And I was like, I can open up an hour earlier, I'll be alright. And messaged the boys afterwards to see if they'd be interested. And we've become good friends ever since, and helping them out with getting some gigs and stuff. So yeah, if you've not heard Broken Soul, go check them out. Trying to think of other bands. Another band that I'm really enjoying this year, come a bit of a new one for me this year, but not local because they are from America, is Dirty Honey.
Oh, fantastic.
Dirty Honey I've really been enjoying.
I can't wait to see those guys open.
No, I want them.
There was a video clip in their fan group the other day of Narn guitar show.
All right.
And there was it was like an all-star band. We had Billy Gibbons and all these other guys all playing. Slash was there as well. And the lead singer of Dirty Honey, there was Led Zeppelin, and his voice was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And it was perfect, and he held his own, and it was just amazing.
Well, the first time I got into him was Tom Hamilton, the bass player of Aerosmith. He shared a link on Twitter, and it was Dirty Honey doing Last Child, and he just like, this is he put something like that, this is a brilliant cover of one of my favourite Aerosmith songs to play. And naturally I clicked on it, I thought, that's cool, and there's Dirty Honey doing Last Child, and I was like, whoa. And then from then, you know, you start looking at like, then start listening to like Dirty Sevens and that kind of thing.
Oh,
but yeah.
I mean, some of the acoustic stuff they've done lately in the lockdown has been phenomenal.
Oh,
you know,
just
reworking some of their songs. You know, it's just been nuts.
oh man, I can't wait for them to come over.
Well, I mean, another band I really love are the Struts. I absolutely adore the Struts. They're an English band, but obviously bigger in the States.
Yeah, they sort of made it over more in the States, didn't they? And then they sort of came back.
But again, as a frontman, you go a long way to find a better frontman than Luke Spiller. Yeah?
Oh, definitely.
You know,
He's got that, yeah.
I followed Prince for many, many years from when I was a kid
Yeah.
right the way through. You know, I've seen him all around the world, but Luke has something special about him as well that when you watch it.
Well, that Young and Dangerous album was one of my albums of the year that year. It's an incredible album.
I mean, I was lucky enough to shoot him in Bournemouth last year.
Oh, wow.
And it was an amazing, amazing show to shoot.
Yeah, I bet.
Just to be there, just to watch how someone can control the crowd, you know, and have them in the palm of their hand.
It's nice when you see that. There's don't get me wrong, there's some great frontmen out there, and then there's the ones who make a stadium feel like that big, and the venues that big feel like a stadium. Yeah. And you know, I think he's definitely one of them.
Oh, definitely. And like I say, Dirty Honey, he's got something about him as well that just works.
Just something about him, isn't it?
But yeah, so like we said earlier, there's so much great music out there. It's just, you know, you are spoiled for choice.
There's another band actually that I like that thing. There's a band called Just a Ride.
Okay.
It's Drew Lowe, who was in Inglorious.
Right.
It's his new band, and again through a radio show, and actually through Nicky Smash of the Rocker Dolls, because Nicky's big mates with Drew, and he shared a link to, oh, my buddy's done this new song, and I listened to it, and great tune, and I was like, right, brilliant, I'll play it on the radio, and I've been speaking to Drew quite a bit, so I know that for next year they're really going to try and push things out next year. Obviously this year they were hoping to do it, but with everything that's going on, that's got pushed back. But yeah, Just a Rider one worth checking out for sure.
Cool. Yeah, because I've not heard of those. That's one new one for me. Look.
So yeah.
You can always find new music.
Oh, you can. There's so much decent new music out. It's insane. And it's always things that just creep up on you, and you don't. Like that Just a Ride. That was one I sort of, you know, Curiosity Killing the Cat when Nicky put it up. I thought I'd play that, and I was just listening to it. Going, God, like, this riff's good. Really get dirty, guttural riffs, and I was like, that's a bit of me.
I mean, Rocket Dolls, you know, Nicky's album, they released it, what?
Oh, man, I disconnect.
ago now?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's a hell of an album.
It was one of those ones, it was a bit like the Bad Touch record when I got that. I put it on in the car on the way to work, and I'm driving off to work, and I'm going, oh, cool, this could be my new favourite Rocket Doll song. And then the next one's coming on, I'm going, actually, maybe this one's my new favourite one. And then it's just solid.
I mean, I'm fortunate, probably a bit like yourself. I get sent new music pretty much every day, if not, you know, certainly every week. But a lot of times every other day. So I get to hear albums months and months in advance sometimes, which is not always a good thing, because by the time it is released, you've kind of heard it so many times.
Yeah.
You've excited it, you know. But yeah. I'm not knocking it because I love it, and I love hearing all this new music. And this is why I know it's so strong out there. There's some of the new albums that are coming out later this year. I've heard some of those, and there's still contenders for like album of the year to come out. You know, it's crazy. You wouldn't even expect as well.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. We could talk about that off air.
Offline.
Yeah. So no, the future is definitely strong, and like I say, it's really pleased that you've got something for August the 1st. Just
yeah, you know, I wanted to
celebrate the 5th anniversary and obviously the 10th anniversary of your father, but it would be nice, and I think people will love the fact that something's happening.
Yeah, this is it. It's a shame because they were doing those driving gigs and then they got cancelled.
Yeah, there was
it was like
a whole national tour, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was
Live Nation, wasn't it?
Yeah, Live Nation were doing it, and I felt really thingy for everyone involved because there was acts that literally put them on sale that day in the morning, and in the afternoon they were all canned.
So I know, like the Outlaw Orchestra played on Friday, they did an outdoor at a place in Southampton or near Southampton.
All right.
And there's 3 bands on the lineup, and they drive. It's a driving one, you know. I've not been to one of those yet. I'm still dubious, but music. If you can see it live, you know.
Oh, if you can see some live, then great.
I mean, fortunately for me, last Sunday I got to actually shoot a proper gig.
Yeah.
No audience.
That was wicked, mate. We were watching it from home, and that was great.
It was surreal, but so much fun, you know.
Yeah.
Back in, and the band as well, though, you could see they were so happy to be playing together again.
Yeah, I bet.
And I think that I know they've also said about from August the 1st, you're allowed to have indoor venue festivals or indoor gigs now, aren't you? But with obviously much reduced capacity, and it's whether a venue can survive or put on a gig, whether it's worth their money, I guess, worth their
This is it.
With the reduced capacity. But I don't know any other way forward at the moment.
No, this thing, it's a time where no one really knows the best way forward, and no one wants to do the wrong thing, and people are going to try new things because A, they have to. You've got to roll with this in whatever way. You've got to roll with it.
It'll never be the same again ever.
No.
So you have to adapt and improvise and move forward and come up with new ways of doing stuff. And I think a few bands throughout the lockdown, you can see who they are, have embraced it and almost used it as a stepping stone to create a new avenue for their music, and it's worked.
I personally think that the Crowcast episodes that the Daytime Crow Boys have done have been fantastic. Yeah. And I know it's been really hard on them. Obviously, Wales were even stricter than they were in sort of Maine and UK. And
it's hit everybody. I mean, some of the live streams each week, and I know people have probably been live streamed out, but there's certain ones that were almost like religiously watched. There was one on Saturday, I used to watch every week, one on Sunday every week, purely because it was so good and so much fun, and it almost became like that was your weekend.
Yeah.
But I think one of the saddest things throughout all this, apart from the musicians, obviously, that have lost their livelihoods, a lot of the venues now that are shutting down, some of the names, some of the Deaf Institute in Manchester and places like those, places that...
Gorilla in Manchester as well is gone, isn't it?
Gorilla's gone as well, So that's just two, and it's
horrible.
So the longer this goes on, obviously the worse it's going to get.
And the problem is, once you lose these places, you lose them. Once you lose them, they're gone. You don't get them back.
Even places in London we had before the lockdown, like Borderline and that shutdown.
Yeah.
All these places are not so festivalised, let alone with a national pandemic going on. But I think the government need to really do help the entertainment industry.
There definitely needs to be the support there, because it's as much as it affects the band, it's the whole industry. It's all your techies, your electricians, all your technical guys, your lighting guys, your stage crews. Everyone who works at that venue, and
right down to catering, promotions, everybody involved.
Everyone.
Transport, hotels, everything.
Everything's affected. It's not just the band.
And
it's the whole industry.
Fingers crossed, something will come out of it. I mean, it's never going to be the same again, like I said, but there is still going to be live music. It's just how live music in the future. It will happen. It's not going to die. Some bands might fall by the wayside, which is sad but inevitable. But then new ones will spring up, and new ways of performing, and new ways of displaying their music. And I don't know. It's exciting. It's exciting, even though it's kind of the scary bit because the pandemic is kind of past now. It's now like, okay, there's nothing we can do about this. It's not a quick thing that's going to be over.
No, it's not.
So how do we now look in a year's time or 6 months' time or whatever, what we're going to do?
No, I think 6 months ago from, 6 months past, we didn't think we'd be where we are. So 6 months on, you never know where we're going to be.
No, not at all. But, like I say, there will be music, and hopefully...
Yeah, it's not to say it's as tough a time as it is, it's not all negative.
No. I mean, it's sad situations, obviously, for everybody. I mean...
Oh, of course.
Not to do with the pandemic, but I think it's today. It's one of the, you probably know him as well, Kev.
Kev Ingalls, yeah.
Sadly passed away. I mean, he's had a battle with cancer for a long time.
He's been battling it for years, hasn't he?
But things like that kind of are more exposed in this sort of time because you've got nothing to sort of distract you from things like this happening, and it's it's sad. It's really sad, but. I can't see things changing very quickly when you get things like that. It just hits you like you say, everyone's been affected by cancer, which was
they have certainly.
And when one of the, I suppose, the bands that are in the scene was affected, everybody's affected.
Yeah.
In an unrelated way.
No, of course.
But promotion-wise and stuff, I think the music will still go, people will still make records, bands will still play the music, and you'll still buy the music, you'll still play the music, you know, because they can't do anything else.
No, you can't.
So,
It's I think at these times when you can't go to a gig in the traditional sense, you know, a lot of people are like we've been speaking of, enjoying the live stream gigs and everything else that can happen. I think more people are starting to really appreciate the true value of art of it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, but also on the flip side, bands have time to write new material. They've had time to sit down and discuss where they're going to be, you know, what direction they're going in, what they're going to do in the future. So it's kind of given them, I think Jack said it, Jack J. Hutchinson. The first week or so with the lockdown, he was all over the place. He didn't know what to do because they were in the middle of a kick-ass tour.
It was bang in the middle of their tour when it all shut down.
And like for the first week or so, he was like a gibbering wreck, basically, not knowing what's happening.
Yeah.
And then almost like he embraced it and went, okay, you know, now we're in the situation. How do we move forward? And I think right from the start, he was thinking outside the box.
Oh yeah.
I think there's been a few musicians that have done that, and they're the ones that seem to have almost blossomed throughout this. So it's almost like give their career a bigger boost than it would have normally got because they've reached more people for a start.
They've grabbed that opportunity.
But it's also given them time to almost take a step back and reflect on what's happened the previous year or 2 years where it's just been manic. Same with yourself, you know, you're putting on festivals, you're busy all year round trying to sort out just push play, you're stoned edge, you've got all the other stuff going on. You don't get the time to step back and just say, okay, well, I've achieved a lot here. What have we done? You know, this has been amazing.
Honestly, like a lot of people, I was put on work, and I was off work. Not long. I worked like a couple of weeks from home. Then I went to the furlough for 6 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, something like that, and then worked from home again. But those few weeks that I was on furlough, and a bit like, I mean, poor Joe, I don't know how many stuff I ended up baking, because I was just like, I could be in the kitchen all day. And Joe's like, what are you doing? I was like, I've just made like a stupid amount of cookies. Like, I was like an old lady. I'd made all these biscuits, and I was like, I've got all these cookies. I'm never going to eat all of these. So I ended up like sort of just leaving parcels on neighbours' doors, and just sort of texting them, going, "There's some cookies on your doorstep." But after that, and playing my bass for a little while, because you know, being busy all year with like work and me 9 to 5, and then just playing Stone Dead and radio show, I don't get to pick on my bass as much as I'd like to. Yeah. So I was picking up that again and giving that much more attention than I have been used to. But then you get that reflection period, and you think, right, okay, what can I tweak? What can I change? And there's not a lot I want to change about Josh Bush Play. I'm pretty happy with it, but it's more like the logistical things that I think I can do just a little bit better, and stuff that people don't see, but I know happened. And just little things like that I was like, right, okay, well I can change this and I can do that. I can tweak this and do this, and I've just worked on so much behind the scenes. And I'll be honest,
you've had the time to sit down and do it, though, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Normally had that.
No, normally it's just like, okay, well, no, it's okay, but you're putting like a plaster on it and going, that'll be alright.
No, it's great. So that is definitely a silver lining for all this stuff. I think people
definitely
back and reflective. Yeah, and like I say, we will come out the other side. There's no doubt about it. We always do.
Oh yeah.
It will happen. May not be in exactly the same format as it was before, but it will happen.
Yeah.
And we'll all be back out to rocking out, no doubt. Sooner, as soon as we sort of.
As soon as we can, hopefully.
Yeah. But in a safer way.
Oh, definitely.
But seriously, man, love what you do with Just Bush Play.
Thanks, dude.
I'm so pleased you've got the support you get from the bands, the management.
I couldn't do it without everyone, mate. I really couldn't.
But it just goes to prove the point that you're doing something good that people want to be part of, you know.
Well, the last year, obviously, Massive Wagons headlined, and then afterwards, as I like to do, I was just trying to thank as many people as I could see for coming and shaking hands and talking and everything else. And there was a lady on the front. I didn't catch her name, but she was on the front row, quite visibly upset. So I sort of made a bit of a beeline for her, make sure she was okay. And she turned around and turned to me and said that her brother had passed away of cancer the week before, and she didn't know whether she was going to come or not. And she said, I said, oh, I'm really sorry, because I did a bit of a speech for my dad at the end. And I said, I'm sorry, I didn't want to upset you. I know what that feeling's like when it's still so raw. And she said, no, the reasoning is, she goes, for the last few hours, she said, I haven't forgot what happened to my brother, but it was paused because I was enjoying myself. And well, how he would have wanted me to, because apparently her brother was a music fan as well. And I said, you know what, that's the best compliment anyone could give me. If for those few hours that Just Push plays on, people forget about what's going on in their life and whatever it may be, whether it's been, a big advocate for, mental health awareness as well. So if anyone's ever struggling or anything like that, and they come to Just Push Play and for a few hours they forget about their anxiety or their depression or whatever it might be, or any family issues or whatever, and I've had a few stories like that over the years, and you just think, wow, this is so much bigger than me, than the gig, than anything.
It's very humbling.
It is really humbling. And I think it's back to, when my dad first passed away, and like I say, it was very, very, very quick. And I was in that lady's position. I didn't know what to do. It's suddenly, with a flick of a switch, the main part of your life is gone. And it took me a long time to realise that I can't be that guy, because too much happened to him. I've got to go down another path. I've got to find another way. And it takes a little while sometimes, and I'm not the only one who's gone through this. People will be watching this and they'll know. But eventually you do find it. And it might not be the path you set out to be on in life. And it'll never be the same direction. But you can get near to it again. And there is...
It gives you a purpose as well, doesn't it?
It does. Oh, totally. The two biggest things that have saved me since my dad passed away is getting back to my martial arts training and Just Push Play. Because both of them have given me a focus, they've given me an aim, and they've given me a purpose again.
So origami music then?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, it's fantastic to see how well it's going, and how big it's getting as well. I mean, give it another couple of years now, it'll be Wembley Stadium, I'm sure.
No, yeah.
Or Wembley Arena. Let's start with the arena.
Go arena first. Give me a step up.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Crowdfunder again.
Well, that was crazy though. Like, I was at Rambling Man Fair last year, and we went to the bar, and Joe was getting the drinks, and I sort of stood a bit back from the bar because it was a queue, so I was sort of stood back. And a bloke came up to me, and he was like, "Are you Lee?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, money.
Yeah, what's going on? No. And I went, "Oh, I'm coming to Just Push Play. I just wanted to say hello." I'm like, "What?" You're at Rambling Man Fair, and he's going, "Oh yeah, listen, blah blah, looking forward to it." And then turned to his mates, and he's like, "Oh, this is the guy who organises Just Push Play." And his mates are like, "Oh yeah, we're coming." And it's like, "Oh, brilliant, thanks guys." And you think, what just happened?
Yeah. You become this celebrity that people want to speak to, and inadvertently, you become this, I don't know, this organiser that's responsible for Just Push Play.
I mean, it's now got to,
so
I guess.
You can't deny it.
I know, it's just weird, because I didn't set out to be a figurehead for anything, and I know I'm not, but when you get people coming up to you and going like, "Oh, this," and I'm like, I'm not Andy Copping. I'm not up here. I'm a bloke who likes music, who puts on a gig for his dad, and that is all it is.
Yeah, but it's no different. Relatively speaking, it's no different. I mean, it's right. I don't know if you know Barry Hopwood. You probably see him online.
Seen him about it, yeah. Don't know him personally.
He's basically got a shed in his garden, and it's called Barry's Blues Bar. And he's got all memorabilia in there and stuff like that. And it is literally just a shed that's been, over the years, kind of changed a little bit. And he has gigs in there, And he's Jack Hutchinson filmed Kiss Your Ass Goodbye video in that blues bar.
Oh, is that where he filmed it?
Yeah. I say blues bar, and I say that with a little smile on my face because it is literally just a shed. but it's quite a big shed now, It looks cool. But for people like that, like yourself, that are championing this wave of music. I mean, obviously yours is for your purpose, for your father, for the hospice. Barry does it just for music because he loves the music, and that's fantastic. All this independent promotion, all these independent events that are being put on by people like Alec does, Crazy
Yeah.
Cowboy. You know, it's
Well, so
fantastic.
me and Joe were talking earlier because we were watching a bit of Glastonbury highlights and stuff. We were watching the Foo Fighters set, and we were talking about like, you know, you can't even comprehend the size of Glastonbury. It's what 30 plus stages and all the rest of it. And like Joe and I was saying, like it's almost got to a point with somewhere like that where it's so big that I don't want to go.
Yeah.
You know, you go into like these little independent shows, and whether it's like your local venue or you know Crazy Cowboy or Nozfest or SOS Festival or you know any of these all upcoming guys who are doing great. Stone Dead is obviously another one that I
Oh,
appreciate.
Love Rock's down in
Love
Bolton.
Rocks, yeah, another great one. You know, with all these little independent ones, everyone's there not to be seen, but everyone's there for the same reason, and everyone's really passionate about the music that's coming through. And the atmosphere in there is just so much better than if you go watch a massive band where you know a lot of people are there just to be seen. Or I went to this, and you know, I just feel like the scene where we're all coming from, it's so alive with the music itself. Like we're talking about, there's so many great bands coming through, but because everybody's there for the same reason and they're all hugely passionate people, that feeds off so much. And I think the bands notice it as well. When you get that interaction, I mean,
There's an accessibility to modern day bands that there aren't to the
mm,
older bands, the bigger bands, obviously, for lots of reasons, you know.
oh yeah,
But things like Crazy Cowboy, like this, the people, the bands will be interacting with the bands because they want to watch the other bands as well, so they're mingling.
yeah,
There's even things like Stone Dead, you know,
yeah,
London Man. You'll see the bands walking about amongst the crowd. You'll see them just watching the other music because they love it.
yeah.
It doesn't matter how big they are.
No. Well, like
Yeah.
at Stone Dead last year, we had Diamond Head playing,
Yeah.
and I was working backstage, and Brian Tatler comes over to me and he goes, "Oh, Lee, how do I get out and watch the band?" I think it was either Phil Campbell or Inglorious that was on at the time. I think it was Phil Campbell, and I was like, "Well, Brian, you can just watch it from like side of stage. Just go up, you'll be fine. You know, you're Brian Tatler of Diamond Head. You can go where you like."
Yeah.
He's like, "No, I'm going out front. How do I get out front?" So I ended up sort of going, "Just through this gate here." And he's like, "Right, I'll shout you over when I'm done." I was like, "All right." And I was going back, and then he watched Phil Campbell down the front, enjoyed himself, and then he sort of came to the side where the gate was, and he's like, "All right, there you go. Oh, all right, run."
I think people are too shocked sometimes when you've got a musician, a frontman or whatever, stood next to them watching a band that they're watching, almost in disbelief that, oh, that isn't, nah, it looks like it, but nah, it can't be it.
Can't be him.
Yeah. So they just carry on enjoying the show, and I think it works brilliant.
I was at Download one year, and it was Download 2007, and Corey Taylor was in the crowd watching Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Stone Sour had been on earlier that day, and then Maiden were headlining it. And he wasn't where we were. We were like sort of right hand side of stage, and he was sort of left hand side of stage. And you could see like this big crowd of people sort of kind of, and you're going, "What's going on over there?" And then like the sort of cameras going along the crowd, and you can just see it's just like Corey Taylor's jeans and hoodie, like just like, "What? I'm watching Maiden. Leave me alone."
Yeah, exactly. I just sort of chill and listen to the music. I'm here like the rest of you guys. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, I would say 99% of the musicians that I've met or know over the last few years
Mm,
are fantastic people that have got
definitely.
to speak that, you know, they won't shove people away or do anything like
No,
that. There's a couple that are up their own asses which lives in all walks of life. It's not just musicians.
no. That's just like people generally. I
I'd
mean,
say
I'll even say I won't mention names because it's not nice to. But
no.
throughout anything, of all the people I've dealt with Just Push Play, Stone Dead, I've never met anyone who's been an arse to me. Never. I've had, you know, you hear rumours along the grapevine, or they're a twat, or they're such and such, and all the rest of it. And I'm someone who's always taken. Yeah, I'm someone who always takes someone how I find them. I don't give a shit what someone else has said about them. If they're nice to me and polite to me, we're cool.
Yeah.
And there's been scenarios where I've heard, "Oh, you ain't got so-and-so playing there, have you?" And blah, blah, blah. I'm not just for playing state, I've other gigs I've been involved. And you think, well, yeah, why? Oh, well, they're like this and they're like that. And then you meet them and they're nothing like that at all.
It all depends. It could be a bad day. The person that was saying this to you might have pissed them off for some reason. You know, it's only, like you say, judge it on your own.
Always judge people how you find them.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, I think like I say, the scene's big. You're doing a fantastic job. All these other independent promoters are doing a fantastic job as well. Even, I mean, Planet Rock and people, you know, stations like that, which are huge.
Oh yeah.
Even they're promoting the newer music these days. You know,
Yeah, they're doing a lot. They've
like
got
the
their
bands
new
we're
rock.
talking about, you know.
Yeah. Well, they've got their new Wyatt's doing his new rock show and all that, and False Hearts and a few others have been on that. And
I mean, look at the bands that are releasing albums recently. They're actually getting in the official album charts, which is unheard of for
yeah.
that sort of scene. You know, and it
No,
looks
yeah.
good. Got those damn crows in the album charts. Recently, Massive Wagon's got in the album charts.
Massive Wagons with them, Bad Touch,
Yeah,
they got on the album charts.
you know,
It's just crazy.
so
It's brilliant.
scene's strong. Guys are
It's
doing a
very
good
strong.
job.
It'll survive this. It'll survive this.
Yeah, of course it will. It's bigger than the some of all this shit going on at the moment. That's what
Definitely.
And there's too much talent out there as well. That's the other thing I've noticed through all this, where you've had sort of people have had time to sit back and relax and chill and reflect and look at what they're doing. The amount of artistic, not the music side, but other artistic stuff coming out from musicians, it's phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Ben obviously does the Dallas Surfers, does all this airbrushing and painting.
Yeah, his airbrushing's insane.
Deggy from
Yeah,
Gorilla
Guerrilla right with his like spray stuff that he's been doing. I commissioned him to do a piece for Joe for a birthday. He was doing all the stuff and he did one of Stephen Wilson for Joe for a birthday. It's incredible.
Amazing. Yeah, and it's great to see it as well. It just
yeah.
shows talent is talent.
No, definitely, yeah.
You know? Oh, obviously Joe does her own stuff.
Yeah.
All her art keeps her busy and...
Yeah, this is it. Like, I think there's a lot, because everything that's been going on, and it's not just music, it's art generally, people seem to be appreciating more. Like, there was a lot of, like Joe, when obviously we were in the lockdown, and as you know, Joe's self-employed with her artwork, and she's thinking, oh, we're going in lockdown, I'm probably not going to do much work. She's been the busiest she's been in a long time. And so it's just really well. I think people are just, you know, people have got that time to reflect where everyone's really busy. I think they're soaking up what they can soak up in artwork, whether it's paintings or drawings or poetry or music or, you know, whatever. Because we're missing that live thing, you're looking for it elsewhere, I think.
And also disposable income. There's probably a little, although it sounds really stupid, there's probably a little bit more of that for a lot of people because they're not spending it on gigs, they're not spending it on gigs.
They're not spending it on gigs, they're not spending it on holidays, they're not going out anywhere.
Buy a piece of art, you know.
Yeah.
Jack Brown is another guy who plays.
Oh, I love Jack. Love Jack.
Well, Jack's a great musician. He plays pretty much anything with strings and beyond. But art-wise, phenomenal.
Well, the first time I met Jack was through art. Him and Joe, there was an exhibition down in Chelmsford at the Asylum bar. It's not there anymore, it's shut down. But there was an art exhibition on. Joe was obviously being there. So I've gone along to help Joe out. And I was sort of, while Joe was setting up, helped her set up, and I sort of walked around the asylum and was looking at the various pieces and all that. And there was a painting of Lemmy of Motorhead. And it was incredible. And I was just like, I'm coming back to this stall and I'm talking to this bloke because he's my kind of guy. He's all his oil paintings that Jack does with various musicians. I'm going, this is incredible. So anyway, I went back, me and Jack met for the first time. We had a natter. Then we got talking about Aerosmith, who we both hugely love. And he's going, are you going to download this shit to see him? And I went, yeah, I am. Oh, mate, we've got to meet up. And that's the only time I met him physically before download. And I was thinking, like, and he's messaged me a couple of times, oh, we'll meet up at Aerosmith. And so many people say that sort of thing to you, you don't know, oh, we'll meet up at this festival, we'll do that. I've got friends I've known for years.
People in between you.
Yeah, and, we chatted online and got on. And then literally I got through the gate at download, and I had a text from Jack off my phone going, where are you? And, you know, been mates ever since, and don't get to see him, well, especially this year, where everything's going on as much as I like, but yeah, he's a top bloke, Jack.
Yeah, I had an original piece of his. He did a drawing of Charlie Starr, Black Smoke lead singer.
Oh yeah, the pen ink will need him.
Yeah, that's the one. That's now on my wall of.
Oh, that's a beautiful piece, he did that.
Oh, stunning! It's absolutely great, and that's the only non-piece or not my piece that's on the wall.
Yeah.
Everything else is my pictures, but that's the only one that's not my own.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's incredible, and I thought I've got to have a piece of that. So.
Yeah.
I did. Like I say, it's the artistic nature of these musicians. And
it's incredible.
So, no, strong scene. I'm loving it. privileged to be in a position I am where I can, like I say, talk to people like yourself, talk to musicians, get all this music, and just basically like a sponge, just absorb everything you could possibly get.
Oh God, yeah.
And people say, how can you retain so many different bands? How have you got time to listen to all these bands? Well, you kind of just do.
If you're passionate about anything, you'll find the time.
Yeah. I mean, if you drive, you put it on in the car. If you don't,
Yeah.
you listen to it on the radio, whatever. It's just doing. And I think the scene's never been stronger, even with this pandemic. I think the scene is huge, and it's only going to get bigger. What I do want to see is when we come out of this, the support that people have given throughout lockdown to continue.
Definitely.
Obviously, outside, but also, like I said earlier, the government need to really, really dip their hand in the pockets and help out the entertainment industry, in my opinion, and anything we can do to kick their asses to do that, need to do it as a core, if you like. But yeah, so thank you for what you do. Really appreciate talking to me today. Can't wait for Just Push Play next year.
Buddy.
Can't wait for August the 1st this year, 8 p.m. over on the Just Push Play Facebook page and YouTube.
And the YouTube channel, yeah. I'll put details up in that.
What have we got? All the bands have donated?
Yes, yes. So there's all the bands that are on this year. So you've got At the Sun, Jack, Jay Hutchison, Niall Dallas, Sam McKinn, Rocket Dolls, Gorilla Riot, Bad Touch, and of course Those Damn Crows. They've all donated stuff for it.
Playing them in order that they would have played it.
Yeah, there'll be a few surprises in between. And Kieran of At the Sun as well. He's doing little acoustic songs between each sort of like little musical interlude. So people can go grab a beer, listen to Kieran, and then come back.
I think we had some interesting pictures of him last Crazy Cowboy Festival. I think he was.
He enjoyed himself, didn't he?
He was, trying to keep his feet in one place was quite interesting. So guys, absolutely.
Great guys. Yeah, I'm very happy that they're open to Just Push Play as well.
So people need to check that out. Go on to Just Push Play. Get all the information. Watch on the 1st of August. Donate what you can. And just have a great night and get ready for next year when the real thing happens.
Yeah, it's crazy. It'll soon come round.
And like I say, thanks again, man. Really appreciate your time.
No, thank you for all your help with Just Push Play and everything you do to support it, mate.
Listen, you take care, Joe. Take care. Enjoy your 2nd year of marriage now.
I will.
It's only 364 days, mate, for another anniversary.
I'll have to do some more cooking.
Yeah, no more cookies.
No more cookies, no.
And I'll catch up soon, mate, hopefully in the flesh, sooner rather than later. But otherwise, you take care, and we'll catch you up soon.
Catch up soon, dude. Take care, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, buddy.